Hello and welcome to The Court Jester, the podcast that takes you on a wild ride through the most scandalous stories of the Middle Ages. I am Cleopethenu, medievalist, storyteller, and your host. Today's story involves 3 women, 1 ring, and no morals. And before we dive into it, I need to warn you. It was written several centuries ago, when the world was a different place and people laughed with all kinds of things. So expect the period-typical misogyny we've seen before in these stories, as well as your gender-typical manipulation and complete disregard for other people's bodily and general autonomy. It is perfectly fine if this is not your cup of tea. I understand. You're probably wiser than me, but if you are curious and you can enjoy a medieval story in context, then before we start the story, get to the links below, find me on social media, follow, and hear me talk about all of this and more, and then sit tight. We are about to meet 3 women who entered a fascinating contest. Hear this good fabliau, good sirs. A cleric made it up because of a ring. 3 ladies found it, and each wanted it for herself. All of them swore by Jesus that the ring should go to her who will best play her husband for a fool to please and satisfy her lover. The contest, as people say, is on. The first woman thought hard, and then she sent for her lover to come to her. When he knew her wishes, he went to her immediately because he loved her tenderly, as she did him. So can you blame him? I can't. She brought the very finest and strongest wine that she could find, and then she also made great effort to find a fair and good quality monk's habit. She gave the wine to her husband, who was very pleased, and drank himself into that state where you don't really know where you are and what you're doing. That state. The man was not a drinker anyway, so I will let you imagine how badly he had it, and so of course he had to sleep it off. As he was doing that, the lady and her lover took him and shaved him like a monk and tonsured him, and frankly he was so drunk they could have flayed him and he wouldn't have noticed. They put the habit on him, and they carried him to the door of the monastery not far from where they lived and left him there, stretched out to the ground, until God made the sun rise the next day. The man woke and saw himself, dressed and tonsured as a monk, and he was much surprised. "Who has conspired to tonsure me?" he asked the void, and then he thought again. "Thy will be done, my lord," he said. "Amen. It's all too clear to me. No one but you has done this, so who am I to disagree? To holy orders you have called me. I will gladly become what you have told me." So he got up on his feet and quickly went to the door and knocked. It just so happened that the abbot was in the chapel, so he heard him knocking, and he opened the door and said to him, "Who are you, brother?" "Father," the man said, "I'm from this region, and I'm here to lead my life in religion. I live very close by, and frankly, if you have asked me yesterday, I wouldn't know I have any kind of vocation. But God, the Lord of all creation, has filled my heart with such desire, and he has shown me the way, because he had me carried here, tonsured my head, and dressed me up as one of your monks. So, if you have my wife sent to me, I will assign to her some property, land and belongings, and all the rest I will bequeath to your house by deed, and I will keep nothing for myself because all I want to do is be your confrère." The abbot heard about the property and his ears were perking, so he sent for the lady and she hurried there, already knowing what this was about, but very much prepared to put on a show. So she came in and saw her husband tonsured and dressed as a monk, and she started crying and wailing. "Husband," she said, "by God on high, have you become a monk? How can I bear this? What will become of me?" She fell to the ground, pretending to be fainting, and then she started wailing and tearing her clothes apart, until the abbot told her openly, "Lady, you're grieving needlessly. You should be happy for him. The path your husband chose is good, and he is now in God's favor, so you should not stand on his way, and you should be on your way now." Eventually she agreed. One of the monks led her back to the house, where she met with her beloved. The plan had worked. Now, this is why I caution all you men who hear this story and advise you not to place your trust in wives or those who live under your roof, unless you have tried them and have proof that they're honest and can be believed, because many a man has been deceived by his wife and her wicked treason, like this one, who became a monk and didn't even want to and didn't even know how this happened to him, all because of her. Now to the second wife, whose desire for the ring was great as well. So it was a Friday, and it was towards noon, and that's what she did. Her husband sat down for his lunch at the table, and they were having eel. They had 6 eels, salted and smoke-preserved, and the husband said, "I'll have them roasted on the grill." "Well, husband," the wife said, "you shouldn't tell me these things last minute. We have no fire." "Well, we're hardly the only household in the neighborhood," said the husband. "Go to the neighbor and find a fire and make it happen." So the woman picked up the eels and took them out of the door and down the street and stopped at her lover's house. He was very happy to see her, and she was very happy to go in, so happy that she stayed the full week. When it was Friday again, she waited until lunchtime, called the servant and told him, "Go back to my house, boy, and let me know what my husband is up to." The boy ran to her house and saw just 1 table setting on the table and 2 loaves of bread, and her husband washing his hands getting ready to have lunch. So as fast as he could, he ran back. "Your husband's having lunch," he said to her. "Very well," said the lady. Straight to the neighbor's house she went and greeted him warmly and told him, "I have 6 eels. They're salted and smoked, but my husband wants them grilled and our fire is out. Would you mind if I use yours to just make it for him? It's just for his lunch, and he's in a really surly mood when his lunch is delayed." Naturally, the neighbor let her do it, and so it wasn't long before the grilled eels were back on the plate and she was going back into her house, where she entered the kitchen and put the plate right in front of her husband, who was looking at her, blinking, and she said, "Well, the eels are ready, and I'm all sweaty and hot from all this roasting. I hope you're happy." Her husband stared and took a minute to realize what's happening. But when he did, he jumped up like a maniac. "Where were you, you bitch? Already back from your debauchery?" he shouted. But she started crying out loud, "Good people, good neighbors, help me, he's lost his mind." And to her aid all the neighborhood flew, and with them the same neighbor that lended her the fire. "See here," she told the neighborhood, "there's no telling what brought this on, but my poor husband's mind is gone. I left the house a while ago when I came to yours to roast the eels." "You have been gone since Friday, whore!" shouted the husband. "It is Friday," she shouted back. And then the neighbors were convinced that the man has lost his senses, and they all jumped on him and held him down and bound him, and they left him in another room, bound on a chair, hand and feet. And you could hear them speak as they were going. "He lost his mind, poor John. What a misfortune, and how sad. Just now he went stark raving mad and tried to do his missus in." The missus wasn't idle. As soon as the neighbors went away, she sent for her lover. She led him off into her room, and through a peephole she saw to him how her husband lay hog-tied. As the proverb goes, the cat knows whose whiskers it licks. You'll hear about the last wife now, who day and night raked her brains to find the best way to win the ring. Remember, this is all happening for a ring. She had a lover, and he was much loved, and so was she. So one day she sent for him to come to her, which he did immediately. And as soon as she got there, she told him, "I have now loved you for a very long time. God only knows how much, but although I could easily forever go on living like this, and I really enjoy the forbidden aspect of our relationship, if you ever leave me, I will feel very, very foolish. So I will not let you back into my bed unless you marry me tomorrow." "God have mercy," said the guy. "You are already married. You know this. How do you think this could happen?" The lady said, "I have a plan. Just make sure you do as I say, and you'll see." "I shall," said the man. "Never in any way shall I ever do differently." Now here's what the lady instructed him to do. He had to come to her husband that night and ask him to go to the house of their neighbor Eustache. She said, "My husband is the guardian of Eustace's little niece. Say that if her uncle will grant it, you intend to marry the girl. So I will go there as well, but I will be in disguise, and I will be there before you get there. It doesn't matter how much haste you make, I will be there first. By the time you have arrived, you'll find that I will have told Eustache what the plan is, and before you know it, you will be marrying me before a priest. My husband won't suspect a thing, he will even give me away, at which point you will have to tell him, in God's name, do you give me this woman as mine from this day forth? He will do that with a light heart and unforced, and so, once he has given me to you, it's not a loan, it is a gift, and you get to keep me. And that was exactly what was done. Her husband gave her away, so the one he gave her to got to keep her for life because he didn't lend his wife, and so he couldn't get her back again. But now, I want you to explain which one you think should have the ring. I say, the one who made her husband a monastic did a lovely thing, but the one who had her husband tied and bound till he was forced to come around and admit he had lost 8 days was equally fantastic. And we have to praise the third one too, who made herself her lover's bride. So you decide, and honestly and wisely choose. The ring in question should be whose? Vote through the links in all socials below and tell me who should get it. If you're listening on Spotify, there's even a poll, so you have no excuse. And if you enjoyed the story and would like some more, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and leave a review for The Court Jester wherever you get your podcasts, and tell everyone you know about how great this podcast is. Lastly, if you'd like to support The Court Jester and help me get a sense of achievement, head over to Patreon. For as little as £1, you'll get access to bonus episodes, extra material, and the warm, fuzzy feeling of being part of this nonsense. Links to everything and to the sources are below. Thank you all for listening. Until next time.